So I had an idea. I wanted to rate every single tier 4 item based on how far they can carry me by themselves. Now, there's only one rule. I can only have one item at any given time. Now I know what you're thinking. But some of the items require other items to work. Well, that sucks. They all automatically get F tier. But anyways, here's how this works. I'm gonna be doing a single run with each item and seeing how far it can take me. And if you're wondering why specifically I can have one item, it's because otherwise it would make items like Death Certificate and Archie obsolete, which means that they would just be F tier anyways. So if you don't agree with that, just imagine they're an F tier. But anyways, starting off with Cricket's Head. This item gives you plus 0.5 damage and up 1.5 times damage multiplier. I also happen to find Magic Mushroom on this run, which is like the same item but better. Anyways, all it does is help me clear out early floors, and it only helps me get to the 5th floor. For reference, I can consistently make it here with no items at all. C tier. Polyphemus. This item gives plus 4 damage, a 2 times damage multiplier, a 0.42 times fire rate multiplier, and minor piercing. Now, this item's good for killing just about anything, unless of course there's a lot of that anything. Either way, it got me down to the 6th floor. C tier, probably above Cricket's Head. Well, not probably, definitely, but still not much better. Sacred Heart. This item gives you a 0.4 tears down, a 2.3 times damage multiplier, plus 1 damage, and homing tears. In this run I get a bunch of good pills, and actually do end up beating Mom, although unfortunately I end up dying just 2 floors later. That one was easily a B tier, maybe even an A tier, but I don't know if I would go that far. Actually, yeah, no, I probably would. I mean, I did get lucky on that run though, but still. Now it's Pyromaniac's turn. This item gives you healing whenever you're close to an explosion, although unfortunately it got nerfed in Repentance. I end up accidentally offing myself because I thought the healing gave you a full heart, so I give it a second chance with the same seed. You know, you could argue if I took it down to the dark room, then it would just immediately get S tier, but I'm not gonna do that. I end up finding this mini boss room which completely destroys my health and ends up single-handedly killing me. But anyways, I only end up making it to the 4th floor. This one easily goes in low C tier. I almost want to put it in F tier, but it actually does something, so I can't. The stopwatch. This item slows all enemies down by 20%. Now being honest, this item kinda sucks completely. If it wasn't for the little familiar trinket I found, I definitely wouldn't have gotten as far as I did. That being said, I end up getting stomped to death on the Mom fight. It got me to the Mom fight, so C tier. I think it did do better than all of the other C tier items though. Had I beaten Mom, I probably would give it B tier. 2020. This item gives a 0.8 times damage multiplier, but you also end up shooting 2 times your tears. Basically what this means is you end up doing like 6 damage. It's pretty bad and ends up doing worse than Stopwatch. This one gets a high C tier. It goes below Stopwatch because it did worse than it. I don't remember if it did better than Polyphemus, but I think it did. Holy Mantle. This item gives you a free hit every room. It's a good item, but by itself it's basically useless and only brought me to caves too. It brought me to the 4th floor, so very low C rank. I actually think it performed worse than every single other item, except for maybe Pyromaniac, but I don't remember. Either way, it's about the same. It's just basically playing a no items run. Magic Mushroom. This item provides the same damage multiplier as Cricket's Head, but it's also an all stats up. It brings me farther, but not by much. It did slightly worse than the Stopwatch, so it gets slightly worse than the Stopwatch. Sci-Fly. This item blocks any projectiles coming at you. Now, it's not very good in the base game, and it's definitely not good by itself, but I end up dying really early on, so I decided to give it a second chance. Now this goes better, and I end up making it to the 6th floor, but that's really about it. That one gets a high C tier, I think right above Polyphemus. I think they made it to about the same distance. Maybe it should go below it, but I don't remember. Either way, they're both not good. The Wafer. This item reduces almost all damage to half a heart. It only makes it to the 2nd floor. It's pretty clear where this one's going. Though admittedly I did play pretty poorly, but it also really doesn't do that much. The whole point is it's supposed to carry me after all. Also, upon further contemplation, I decided to make a D tier. Can't imagine anything else is gonna go in it, except for maybe Archie, which is the next item. This item resets your run except you keep all your items. Not really very good by itself, and I end up losing all my health to this one room, just before being forced to take Dead Cat. This obviously ruins the rest of the run. I'm sure you can see why. I then proceed to die to the same boss 5 times in a row. And believe it or not, I only make it to the 3rd floor. Well, that fucking sucked. Now we can move on to the more interesting items like Godhead. This item provides an aura around your tier which does 2 damage per tick. Now, I always thought this item was overrated, but it absolutely destroys bosses and enemies. And it's so good that it takes me to the 4th floor before I even take damage. Now unfortunately, earlier in the run I took a pill which was a speed down, which causes me to take a lot of damage on the mom fight, but I do still beat her. And I managed to make it all the way to the It Lives fight. In fact, I take so long on this fight that I start seeing patterns that I haven't even seen since I started playing the game. Unfortunately, shortly after that, I die on the 2nd floor of the cathedral. Well, this is clearly the winner so far, so S rank. Ironically enough, it would have been harder pre-repentance because it technically got a buff, but only if you have low damage. Otherwise it got nerfed. And now for Incubus, which, let's be honest, it's probably going to place below 2020, because it's basically just a worse version of it. This item gives you a familiar that copies tier effects and does 75% of your damage. I only get to the 5th floor with it. I got to the 5th floor with it, and I'll be honest, I don't remember how far I got with 2020, but it technically does more damage, so it's going right here above it. And of course I'm going to be doing Twisted Pair next, because it's basically the same thing again. This item does the same, but the damage is split in half between 2 familiars. I only make it to the 3rd floor. That was somehow worse than both Incubus and 2020. D tier. Mega Blast. Now I'm not really sure if I should use it, when it's charged and try and get through as many rooms as possible, or if I should save it for the boss. Same with Mega Mush. I also considered giving myself mapping so I can show off the best use case, but that's not really fair to the other items. This item gives you a big brimstone laser whenever you activate it, and it has a 12 room recharge. It only helps me get to the 4th floor. I got to floor 4 with it, so either high D tier or low C tier. I'm putting it right here. I said right here. Mega Mush. This one lasts 2 times longer, so it should do better than Mega Blast, but I don't know. Same 12 room recharge, but it lasts twice as long, makes you really big and invincible, and gives you a lot of contact damage. I easily beat Mom with it, but the 12 room recharge ends up screwing me over. Now it didn't quite take me to It Lives, so unfortunately I have to put it lower than Sacred Heart. Had I cleared the room I died on, I think it would have taken me at least past It Lives, and it would have got a better rating than Sacred Heart. Now since it didn't quite take me to It Lives, I'm not sure if I should put it in B tier or not, but since I was really only 2 charges away from beating it, I'm gonna leave it in A tier. Mom's Shovel. This is either gonna go really well or really poorly, and I'm willing to bet it's going to go really poorly. Alright, so slight issue. It turns out it's actually the handle that causes the stomping. So the broken shovel instead. This item causes Mom's feet to stomp on you periodically. It actively prevents me from getting past the 1st floor. That one gets an honorary F tier. It was actually worse than having nothing. D Infinity. I think the best and really only way to use this will be to just spam D8, since all of the other dice are basically useless with it. That's not the right item. This item allows you to use almost any dice in the game. Unfortunately, most of them do nothing by themselves, and I only make it to the 5th floor. Alright, so it turns out that that's not exactly how it works. You can only ever actually get up to a 2 times multiplier on all your stats, which means you can max out your fire rate, but you can only ever get up to 7 damage. Which, if you got lucky enough to get that, it's kinda decent, but it's definitely not enough to beat the game. Either way, it really only got me to the 3rd floor, so it gets a high D. Crown of Light. This item gives you +2 soul hearts and 2 times damage multiplier as long as certain conditions are met. Unfortunately, these conditions include not taking damage, which means it didn't take me past the Mom fight. This one gets a C tier. I believe it's right below Stopwatch. Hemolacria. This item gives you +1 damage, a 1.5 times damage multiplier, a 0.33 fire rate multiplier, and it makes your tier shoot at a bunch of other tiers when it hits something. Unfortunately, the slow fire rate makes it hard to use, and it only takes me to the 6th floor. C tier, right above Polyphemus, I believe. Death's List. The rules say I can take whatever item it gives me, so it automatically gets an S rank, because it's as good as whatever the top item is, which in this case is Godhead so far. Don't really need to do a run to figure that out. Dr. Fetus. This item makes you shoot extremely high damaging bombs out. It's exactly as good as you'd expect. That being said, I make it most of the way through the cathedral before I find a trapdoor with the black market, before immediately dying in the 2nd room of the chest. Well, it's pretty clear Dr. Fetus is a new winner, considering I made it all the way to the chest, And even if you don't count me going through the black market, then I still made it further on the cathedral than I did with Godhead. Epic Fetus. Pretty much the same thing as Dr. Fetus, but they come from the sky and take longer to fire. The fact that you can't stop enemies with bombs makes it harder to use, and I only make it to It Lives before dying. It got me to Mom's Heart, so A tier, right above Magic or Mega Mush. Hippokeg. Pretty much the same thing as Dr. Fetus, but they explode on impact and do poison damage. Really bad specifically for situations like this where you can't shoot directly in front of you. Well, it got me to one room before the boss, so I think it goes right here. It did slightly better than Epic Fetus, and it did slightly worse than Sacred Heart. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what this next item's called. It's the Holy Brimstone. This item gives you a brimstone-like light beam that shoots alongside your normal tiers, along with flight. It does more damage than Brimstone, but also shoots slower. That being said, I make it all the way to Isaac with it. Well, I did technically make it the furthest so far with it. I also technically didn't, since I made it to the chest through a trapdoor, so it goes right below Dr. Fetus. Mom's Knife. Now, I gotta be honest, this already belongs in F tier, because it's just such a bad item. People always cry about Epic Fetus ruining synergies, and they just completely gloss over Mom's Knife. That being said, let's see how well it does in a vacuum. This item does 2 to 6 times your damage, and hits multiple times per second. Anyways, I only make it to the 7th floor before getting a really bad boss and dying. And as expected, it got below all the other unique tier 4 items. This item could genuinely be removed from the game and the game would go up 10 points. B rank, C-section. This item shoots out babies that home in on enemies and deal damage over time. With it, I just barely beat Mom and then proceed to die on the next floor. This one beat Mom, but it didn't get quite as far as the knife, so B rank, low B rank. Brimstone. Now, I gotta be honest, I always thought Brimstone was better than the Holy version, but I looked at the wiki and I'm pretty sure it does less damage, although I think it does fire quicker. I think it is gonna get a lower rank than the Holy Brimstone, although I do think it is better to use and just a better item in general. This item changes your tiers into a big blood laser, which hits multiple times and fires way slower. I believe you could beat the game with this item just by itself pre-repentance, but now it's probably much harder. First of all, I think I should move Sacred Heart up to S tier because it did get me to the cathedral, even though I think I died in the second room. Now, both Brimstone and Mega Mush got me within a few rooms of the Mom's Heart fight. I'm not really sure which side of Magic Mush it should go on, since I think Magic Mush did get me closer, since it would have completely nullified the fight, and I probably would have died on Mom's Heart with Brimstone, so I'm gonna put it below it. Does Magic Mush, or Mega Mush, does it count, since it was an XL floor, does it count as Womb 1 or Womb 2? I'm counting it as Womb 2. But maybe someone thinks that's wrong. Either way, that's where I'm putting it. And now for the final item, Tech X. This one was my second favorite item, right behind D6. Now, I'm pretty much certain that this one's not going to get C rank unless I somehow get a really bad run. Now, while this item is undoubtedly good, I do think it's only going to get A or B rank. But then again, a lot of the other items surprised me, like Godhead. I really thought I was going to play C rank. But anyways, here we go. This item makes you shoot a laser ball, the size and damage of which depends on how much you charge it. Now, this is different from Afterbirth, which the damage wouldn't be affected based on the charge. Basically, they nerfed it and defeated the entire point of the item, so now it's really bad. It takes me to a bit before the Mom fight. Alright, so it turns out it's actually not my favorite item. Now, it did get A rank, although it did do worse than every single item in there, so it goes at the very bottom of A rank. Apparently, it got severely nerfed in Repentance, which I didn't think it did. I thought it was mostly untouched. Basically, they changed how much damage it does based on how much you charge it, so it acts like chocolate milk, except not really, because I think you still do full damage even if you spam it. You only do full damage if you fully charge Tech X. And you can no longer spam it as quickly as you could before. The whole point of the item was that you could make a circle just about big enough so that it would be constantly hitting the enemy. That way it would hit a wide range of enemies, do full damage, and basically it would be like a better Brimstone. Genuinely, in Afterbirth Plus, it might be possible to just beat the game with only this item, but it's definitely not possible in Repentance. Unless you get like a really lucky run, which I did get lucky. I guess I didn't record it, but I got a card against humanity and it gave me like 5 extra soul hearts, which allowed me to, I think it was only 1 floor more. Either way, there you have it. These are every tier 4 item ranked objectively. basically, this is what all the rankings mean. My only regret is that I didn't use the same seed for every single item. Although, truthfully, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. All of the C items would still be C items. Maybe they would have been 1 rank higher, like Stopwatch and maybe Crown of Light, but that's it. I think the only item that could have been much different was Mega Blast, since it's basically dependent on whether you get a bunch of batteries or not. But anyways, there you have it. Dr. Fetus is undisputably the best item in the game. Now you can argue Revelation is better, but I also only got the crawl space because I had Dr. Fetus, so I think it still counts.